A detainee transfer turned deadly. Who was targeted and what went wrong? I'm Ethan. Maya will trace the human cost and community questions, while Leo unpacks the forensic timeline and security failures. We'll separate verified facts from viral noise and demand answers now. Tonight, the official story and the public narrative collide. Agents say a targeted attack on an ICE facility. Online, people are arguing over motive, misnaming the shooter, and even who was hit. Let's separate what's confirmed from what's conjecture.
2 human beings in government custody are dead. A third is fighting for life. Before we turn this into a political football, we need to face what it means when detainees are this exposed on our watch.
And the public is seeing a pattern, hostility toward law enforcement boiling over. But the press rushes to sanitize it. Folks online are calling him far left, Antifa, the whole thing.
Here's the verified timeline. Early on September 24th, 2025, shots came from an elevated position into the Sally Port of ICE ERO in northwest Dallas during a detainee transfer. 2 detainees died, a third was critically wounded, no officers were injured. The shooter, identified as 29-year-old Joshua Jahn, was later found dead on a nearby rooftop from a self-inflicted gunshot. The FBI calls it targeted violence. Ammunition with anti-ICE messages was recovered. The FBI director, Kash Patel, posted photos of those rounds.
But if the ammo said anti-ICE, why are detainees the ones killed? That contradiction matters. Was the Sally Port layout funneling civilians into the line of fire? Were officers shielded while the people in custody weren't?
Or he aimed for officers and hit detainees because of angle, glass, panic. Intent still counts. That site has had protests. Doxing of ICE staff is real. You harden targets, or you get tragedies like this. Move these operations away from rooftop sightlines.
Early reports did conflict on casualty counts and roof location. Consolidated statements now place the shooter on a nearby building, firing down into the Sally Port and at the van. Investigators also examined a vehicle with a radioactive fallout sign near the scene.
That odd sign is exactly why we should wait for motive. Don't jam a label on this and declare the case closed. We need clarity on planning gear and whether security assessments flagged these vulnerabilities and were ignored.
Look, the anti-ICE scrawl is a calling card. We've seen others write slogans on rounds. You can condemn doxing and the rhetoric and still back the agents. The answer is stronger perimeters, rural-style sighting, and a zero-tolerance approach to threats.
One more set of facts. Officials describe Jahn as a white male, Texas-born, around 6 feet tall and about 210 pounds. Records show a prior felony in a 2016 marijuana case, recent ties to Oklahoma, and brief renewable energy work or training. His brother told reporters he didn't have strong feelings about ICE and wasn't politically interested. That clashes with the anti-ICE rounds. Authorities say motive remains under investigation. Victims' identities have not been released.
And online, and people are already hunting his relatives' Facebooks, throwing labels at the family. That is reckless. Guilt by association obscures the real questions: access to guns, mental health resources, and the design of high-risk transfer points.
Personal responsibility still matters. With a prior felony, how did he get armed? Enforce the laws on the books. Prosecute threats. If the public wants safety, then stop treating those who protect the border like villains and fortify the sites they staff.
Quick recap before we widen out. Confirmed, 2 detainees killed, a third in critical condition, the shooter dead by suicide. Anti-ICE markings recovered. Investigators from DHS and the FBI leading the case. Unknowns: motive, procurement, and whether officers were the intended targets.
Meanwhile, the people in custody are consistently the most vulnerable. Detainees aren't convicted. Some are citizens tangled in errors, as commentators noted. If your facility design leaves them exposed, that's a systemic failure, not just a one-off tragedy.
You can care about detainees and still admit that nonstop demonization of ICE has consequences. Senator Ted Cruz said, "The rhetoric has to stop." He's right. Words set people off. Stop normalizing attacks on law enforcement as some kind of protest.
Dallas police pledged to work shoulder to shoulder with partners. The mayor asked the city to pray for the families. Federal leaders vowed the mission continues. This is now a joint DHS-FBI investigation. That doesn't excuse us from demanding transparency.
Transparency looks like an independent security audit, Public after-action findings and urgent fixes, shielded transfer corridors, ballistic glass, and protocols that don't herd people into kill zones. And yes, address mental health upstream, not just after carnage.
Upstream is fine, but downstream is urgent. Postguards, restrict approach angles, eliminate rooftop access lines, and pass laws against doxing officers. The internet mob that spotlights agents' families is gasoline waiting for a match.
Public discourse has been noisy. Some commentators even misnamed the suspect as Jan or John, while speculating about ideology. That's why we anchor to verified releases and treat social media leads as leads, not conclusions.
And we resist the temptation to make this a proxy war. You can oppose violence, demand accountability from ICE, and still defend the basic dignity and safety of people in custody. Those positions aren't contradictory. They're humane and necessary.
The contradiction is pretending rhetoric isn't part of the fuel. Write anti-ICE on your rounds, then open fire. That's targeted. That's what the FBI said. So, respond like it. Deterrence. Charge anyone who aids, and redesign facilities to deny attackers clear shots.
Investigators also noted records that list Jahn as a registered independent, who last voted in November of 2024. That doesn't settle motive. It reminds us that individual pathways to violence rarely fit neat partisan boxes.
Agreed. We need data, not myths. Did he have prior threats? Any restraining orders? Was that rooftop accessible to the public? Who signed off on transfer timing and cover? Answer those, and we prevent the next one instead of just punishing after the fact.
And if the site was already a hotbed, treat it like one. Stagger transfers, use decoys, coordinate with local police on overwatch. This is common sense in high-risk zones. You don't need to be a commando to spot an exposed sally port.
Second, quick recap before we close. We have a suspect, a time, a place, and recovered evidence suggesting a grievance against ICE. We do not have a finalized motive, a full security failure analysis, or the names of those who died. Those gaps matter.
One more thing, relocating facilities to remote areas, as some suggest, might reduce sniper angles, but it also isolates detainees from counsel and families. Security shouldn't come at the expense of due process. Smart design can do both.
Fair. Then get serious about design. Enclosed bays, armored vans, covered walkways, active cameras, and consequences for anyone scouting these sites. If you want fewer tragedies, make attempts futile and unattractive.
We'll watch for updates from DHS and the FBI on the vehicle with the unusual sign, the rooftop access, and how the shooter acquired the weapon given his history. We'll also follow whether rhetoric around IC shifts after officials' pleas to cool it.
And we'll keep the focus where it belongs, the lives lost, the family waiting at a hospital bed, and the obligation to fix what is fixable. Policy isn't a eulogy, but it can be a promise kept to people who never had a choice in that sally port.
No more pretending this is random. It is targeted violence. Protect the officers, protect the detainees, and stop the political games that make either side into caricatures. Real security beats #wars every time.
On our next episode, we ask architects, agents, and advocates how detention facilities can be redesigned against elevated angle attacks without severing community access. And we'll map how online narratives shape this case in real time. Stay with us.